William Saliba said to miss the Liverpool game is doubtful, but the good news is that he's soon returning, meaning that he might miss the game of Liverpool but be available for the remaining games of the season. And then Arteta Mikel has a plan for Tierney, Emily Smith Rowe and Rob Holding that has been revealed by Steve K. And then lastly, Martin Odegaard has been so much compared with all two Mesut Ozil. He has gone ahead and really spoken out on people comparing him to that talented player that was blowing hot and cold. Very talented. Sometimes he plays well, at times he doesn't really show up because the game of football changed and it was all about intensity and talent together. Even if you have talent and you are not really doing the needful to run on the field of play, then you are nowhere near good as far as many are concerned. Rokani David is my name. How are you? This is Rokani Media Football. Welcome to the Arsenal News Show, guys. And let's take it to the next level. Now, as it stands, Saliba is one of those players that Arsenal had and ushered into this team this season, and he has gone ahead to do wonders in the Premier League. He's one of the best defenders, if you are asked. I support Manchester United. You tell me that you tell me that Saliba to United. I tell you yes, because I would like him to compete with Rafael Varane into that central defense partnership, because he's gone ahead to show us that he's really press resistant, good game reader, he's fast, he's a good passer of the ball. He's not only good on the floor, but also in the air. So it shows you that Saliba is a complete player. But he got an injury in the game of Sporting Lisbon. That's Arsenal being knocked out of the UEFA Europa League. Now, having been knocked out of the UEFA Europa League, Saliba has missed out on the games of Leeds, Crystal Palace. You get? Those are the two games that are going to have to miss out for Arsenal, and those are close to 3-4 weeks of him out. He last played a game of football, I think, on the 16th, right? On the 16th, yeah, 16th of March. Now, when you add 15 days to end March, those are 2 weeks, 15 days. Now we are almost going into 20 days or 3 weeks without him playing the game of football. And a story has been put out by The Sun concerning him, telling us that William Saliba is set to miss Arsenal's trip to Liverpool on Sunday. Saliba is still struggling with a back injury and has not been able to train since suffering the problem against Sporting Lisbon 3 weeks ago. So if he is really still suffering with the back injury, I told you the back injury is one of those injuries that are really tricky, and Mikel Arteta also hinted about it when he was talking about when he's talking about Saliba in the pre-match press conference ahead of Leeds, because he said it's a tricky one and all what you need is resting. That's it. The back injury, all what you need is resting, so that's what makes it hard. But talk about him missing the Liverpool game. It's really going to be a very huge blow. You wouldn't like to see Arsenal going to Anfield, one of the hostile environments I've known because of their fans, and not having William Saliba. You get? It's really a very huge blow. But to my understanding, if I told our Arsenal, there are 3 games I would have gone ahead. There are only 2 games that I would have gone ahead to get William Saliba and give him an injection to play those 2 games, because most players who have back injuries, especially if at all they come into towards the end of the season, they are given injections. They play with the painful back, but having been given painkillers, they can't feel pain on the field of play, and then they rest towards the preseason. So those games are Man City and Liverpool. Those 2 games, I think they are way far much better, all above the level of Rob Holding. We saw Rob Holding when he was defending Haaland in the game of the FA Cup that Man City knocked out Arsenal by 1-0. Rob Holding found himself in a position of battling it out with Haaland. They were really physically attacking one another, but in the end of the first half, Rob Holding found himself into the referee's book, and he was one booking away from a send-off. Arteta took him off and brought on William Saliba, who played alongside Gabriel Magalhaes in the second half. So that means that it is really going to be more hostile at Liverpool than it were at Etihad. So, will he handle the situation? That is it. What is Mikel Arteta going to do? Is he going to push Ben White into the central defense, and obviously Thomas Partey be played as a right back, then Jorginho be played as a central defensive midfielder? We don't know, because he tried out that when Arsenal was beating Crystal Palace by 4-1. So let's wait and see how that's going to happen. But it's really a very huge blow for Arsenal. You just don't want to go to Anfield without William Saliba. Now again, Daniel Katz, coming in from The Sun, told us William Saliba is set to miss Arsenal's clash at Liverpool on Sunday as he struggles with a back injury. He's not been able to train properly for the last few weeks. Hopes will be back soon though. So the only positive about the injury of Saliba is simple, that the hopes are high that he is going to be back, and the season is going to go, and his season has not come to an end. Even Mikel Arteta came out and really confirmed to us that the season of Saliba has not yet hit the dead end. That's it. So, but there is a word hope he will return soon, meaning that he might not be available for the game of Liverpool and Southampton and be ready for the game of Man City. So I think one of those two games you would love to see him back, but the big question is, will Saliba return at the levels where he was? Why? When he returned from the World Cup, having not been played for a very long time, because he played in the game of Tunisia like 45 minutes only, and the rest of the games he never showed up for France, he looked rusty. He costed Arsenal goals in the game of West Ham and in the game of Brighton. You know, it took him lots of games to get back into the game. Now, if it's going to take him a lot of time to get back in the game, then Mikel Arteta will be left with no option other than really playing Rowe Holding into the mix. Now, after that Saliba story, let's go to a story coming in from Steve K. Steve K is really a close source to Arsenal, and he has gone ahead to reveal to us lots of good stories coming in from Arsenal. He has told us that Mikel Arteta would like to keep Florian Balogun, Tierney, Emile Smith-Rowe, and Rowe Holding beyond this summer. Arteta considers all four of the quartet as very important numbers of the squad going forward into 2023-2024. When you look at all these players talking about, I think the only one that would have to go is Tierney, because he deserves to be playing first team football. That's it. But for Emile Smith-Rowe, having been out almost for the entire season and returning into the final bit of the season for Arsenal, I think he has no reason to leave Arsenal. He has no reason to leave Arsenal because he just needs to prove himself that he deserves more playing time at Arsenal. And I think next season, these players aren't going to be complaining for game time. Why? Arsenal is going to be playing in four competitions: the Champions League, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, Premier League. So 4 trophies. Arsenal in competition with them, meaning that lots of changes are going to be made. You saw it even this season that in the Carabao Cup, you saw the likes of Reece Nelson, Eddie Nketiah, and very many others coming in through to play the game. So Emile Smith-Rowe, I think, will be having enough playing time for Arsenal, and there will be 3 more tournaments to prove to Mikel Arteta that he's really good. For Rowe Holding, I think for him is okay, because he has not been playing for Arsenal in the Premier League. He was only brought on towards the end of the games, and he started most of the UEFA Europa League games, and he looks unbothered, meaning that for him it's not even a bare minimum not to start. So he's not pushing to leave. He believes he's okay with Mikel Arteta, and I think Arteta is so much okay with the player known as Rowe Holding. For Tierney, huge question marks on him. Big question marks on him. I know Mikel Arteta would love to keep him, but I don't see Tierney not putting in or not knocking onto the door of Mikel Arteta and sitting him down and telling, please, sell me. I want to go. And I think that's another reason that gives you a reason to fight for Tierney, meaning that he's pushing in to start. But even if you're pushing in to start and throwing in a request to go out of Arsenal, there is a player known as Zinchenko who has gone ahead to really elevate the left back of Arsenal. You know, the way Zinchenko really plays that left back position has even gotten Murphy, the player of Newcastle, to come out and really say, this guy is unbelievable. This guy is unbelievable. And trust me, the guy is unbelievable. That is Murphy. So, I see Tierney on the door or the exit door of Arsenal this summer because he demands for more playing time. And Mikel Arteta is not going to give him playing time. And badly enough, unlucky enough, Arsenal is not into any other competition again. You get? If I told you Arsenal were there, he would have gone ahead to get playing time at least once a week, and then Zinchenko plays into what we call the Premier League. But even though we are insinuating like that, that chance was there. The game of Sporting Lisbon, the 2 games of Sporting Lisbon, Tierney was not played, though one he had flu, but the one at Emirates expected Tierney to start. The manager never gave him a nod until when it hit or reached or clocked the 65th minute and it was taken off, and Zinchenko was taken off. Then Tierney came in through. So it shows you that Arteta has no reason to convince this lad to stay. If at all is to stay, it will be by his own decision and his agent. But very many teams are really interested in him. Juventus, there is Newcastle, there is it Aston Villa? Close to 3 Premier League teams are interested in Tierney. So, as it stands, we keep our eyeballs onto that and see whether Tierney is going to stay at Arsenal or not. But for Emil Smith-Rowe and Rob Holding, I think he'll really convince them to stay, because I've given you a reason as to why those players will stay at Arsenal. And the big difference is Rob Holding and Emil Smith-Rowe are hell-end academy graduates, meaning that they would love to stay at the club no matter what. But for Tierney, he was bought in from Scotland, and then he's demanding in for more playing time. And every time he comes on by this, most of the times he plays well. He went for Scotland, played very well, and I think he's giving his suitors a chance to come in for him and really pay the real amount of money that Arsenal wants. But if at all he's sold, Arsenal can get close to £40 million from Tierney. That's it. That's it. So every time he's given a chance, he comes in through and performs. I think that's the best way for Tierney to put himself in the shop window and obviously get bought from the club of Arsenal. Let's talk about Martin Odegaard. Talking to Prime Sport, he told us that he really wants to be himself when he was being compared to Mesut Ozil, and the full statement was, I think it's a big compliment, but I'm not the biggest fan of comparing myself to other players. I want to be myself and play my game. Ozil was a player I looked up to and watched a lot when I was young. So obviously he's being really compared to Mesut Ozil, and they are all left-footed. But I think Odegaard has more to offer to the game than Mesut Ozil. Why? He's aggressive, and he has gotten a chance to revive his career. He was at Real Madrid for close to 5 years. He was signed at the age of 16-17, and then he was loaned to Real Sociedad. Things never went on well. When he returned to Real Madrid, Zinedine Zidane was there, and he gave him a chance, but obviously COVID came in through, and he missed out on very many games because of COVID, and that's when he was loaned to Arsenal, and then Arsenal revived his career. When you look at Odegaard and the way he's doing the stuff at Arsenal, he's really better than Mesut Ozil for me. You know, he does everything that Mesut Ozil did on the ball, but he goes a further mile to be so much intensive. You know, he's relentless, and he runs. I think no player on the field of Arsenal is going to have to cover more distance than Martin Odegaard. So I think he has more to offer to the game than Mesut Ozil. Talent-wise, it's hard to say that Ozil was more talented than Odegaard. All Odegaard is, but that question will be really given an answer after like 6-7 years from now, because Odegaard is putting in very many numbers, he's putting in very many assists, right? And I think as we go further next season, he's really going to be that person who is going to come out and obviously do the needful as far as scoring goals and assists are really concerned. Lastly, he's the captain of Arsenal. You get? Meaning that he's a born natural leader. Ozil had no quality of a leader. He was one of those players that almost messed up the dressing room, and that's why Mikel Arteta threw him under the bus. So guys, your thoughts on to Saliba to return soon, but doubtful for Liverpool game are welcome in the comment section below. What do you think about Mikel Arteta wanting to keep Emile Smith-Rowe, Rob Holding, and what's the name of the guy? And Tierney. Rob Holding, Emile Smith-Rowe, and Tierney. Of the three, who is he going to keep, and who is guaranteed to leave the club of Arsenal and won't listen anymore to what the tables or the offers are from Arsenal to stay? And lastly, do you think Odegaard is like Mesut Ozil? Yes or no? Because for him, he doesn't like to be really compared with other players. So, Rokani David is my name. I sign out for now. See you later. I cover you all in the precious blood of Jesus Christ, and may the Almighty Lord bless you abundantly. My Muslim friends, Ramadan Kareem, but don't forget to subscribe to this channel, because it's your subscriptions that really make us different and grow huge in numbers. I'm out.